Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. This week, I would like to discuss the difference between ghosting, benching, and breadcrumbing. And yes, those are terms that have to do with dating. So let's start with ghosting. I think most people have heard of it by now, and that is where someone that you were dating or seeing casually, all of a sudden they disappear. Poof, they're gone like a ghost. And thus the term ghosting. And the reason for that can either be that they're done with you, they don't want to see you anymore, and they don't want to do a formal breakup, so they just disappear, or they're very angry with you about something, and so they want to hurt you as much as possible. And one of the things that's most painful is to just disappear, to just ghost someone. So they want to get back at you for something. And so what do you do if you find that you have been ghosted? The person you were seeing disappeared. Well, there's really nothing you can do. They chose to just walk away, to leave you alone, and so you have to accept it and just move on. I know you probably don't want to because you're wondering what happened, what's going on, but if they're going to be that rude, that careless with your feelings, why would you want them in your life? So if someone just walks away, say, fine, good. I'll go on and find someone much better for me. Okay, so the next one is benching. And that's basically when someone sees you for a bit, then they disappear, and then they pop up again. So it's almost like you're on a basketball team. You're on the roster, but you're not in play all of the time. So sometimes you're on the court, you're in play, so you're in contact with them. They text you, they call you, they see you, and then they bench you. You're not in the game, you're not playing, they're not calling you, they're not seeing you. And don't be fooled by their politeness. Just because someone is benching you, it doesn't mean they're going to be rude, because when they do pop back up, they'll be like, oh, sorry, I've been so busy, or hey, how are you? So you think, oh, they're such a nice person, they're polite, they're not benching me. Well, they probably are. When people are interested in you, they don't disappear, they're consistent. And so if someone is benching you, it's because they want to keep their options open. Their attitude is, well, why close the door if I don't have to? So they want to keep you hanging on, but they don't necessarily want to see you all the time because they might be busy with someone else or several someone else's. So it's up to you to decide, what do you want to do? Is that the type of relationship, if you want to call it that, you want to be in? If you're not that interested, then it's okay. You can say, fine, I'll see them when I see them. But if you really are interested and they keep disappearing, then you can either just stop answering and just move on, or you can try calling them out on it, although you're probably not going to get a straight answer. But it's just to let them know that you know what's going on. And you can just basically say, hey, that's great. I know you don't have a lot of time, blah, 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 but this is not what I'm interested in. So if this is how it's going to go, then this isn't going to work for me. So at that point, they either need to step up and show that they are interested, or they know that eventually you're going to move on. So it kind of puts them on notice. And then finally, there is breadcrumbing. And then finally, we have breadcrumbing. And that is when someone gives you just enough attention to keep you hanging on. So they don't ghost you and they don't bench you, but they only put in minimal effort. They just give you enough so that you can't really say anything, because it's like, well, hey, I texted you a few days ago or whatever. So they don't totally disappear, but they're really not giving you a lot. So it's minimal effort. Like kind of like the ex who continues to check in with you, but they don't really suggest meeting up. Basically, this person wants to keep their options open, or they just want to get attention, or they want to flirt, they want to get validation, but they're really not trying to have a relationship. So they'll text, but there's never really any plans to get together. And it's really more of a selfish thing than a calculating move. They kind of want to keep you around in case they decide they do want to see you or date you in the future, but right now they're not really interested. And the way that you can tell if someone is breadcrumbing you, there's a few ways. One, as I mentioned, is laziness. So there's minimal effort. And even in how they text, instead of writing out the words, how are you? They'll put how, and then an R, and then a U. I mean, is it really that difficult to write the words? The pacing is not consistent. Usually, when you start dating someone, there's some consistency in the texting and the getting together. But if you're not really sure when you're going to hear from them again, if you're not really sure when you're going to see them again, then the pacing is inconsistent. So that might be a sign of breadcrumbing. And so don't make excuses for someone. You have to ask yourself, what are my standards? And are they meeting my at least minimal standards of how I want to be treated in a relationship, in a dating situation? And if they don't meet your standards, then cut them loose. These days, there's so many people out there, so many ways to meet people, that there really is no excuse for putting up with someone who is not treating you right. Because if they can't see your worth and your value right off, you shouldn't have to prove it to them, because they know right away. Don't think, well, I have to show them, it takes time. No. People know. People know right away. So if they've decided that they're really not that interested, then the best thing to do is to cut them loose. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments about ghosting, benching, breadcrumbing, or anything to do with love, dating, or relationships, you can contact me at my website, theartoflove.net, where you can also find out about my private coaching sessions. If you're listening to this on iTunes, I would really appreciate if you would rate and review my podcast. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.